Hey guys, it has been a couple of weeks since Living Story Season 4 Episode 1 launched. Before we continue this video, I'd like to point out that this video contains a lot of spoilers from this Living Story episode. So, if you haven't played it yet, please do so first. So, I was really excited to go to Istan again. It's a lore-rich area and it played quite a big part in Guild Wars Nightfall. If you would have created a character in Guild Wars Nightfall, then Istan would be the place where you would start your journey. If you are interested in a particular area, please check out the timestamps in the description, so you can skip ahead if you want. Also, check out the complete playlist of this series in the charts in the top right. So, let's take a look at all the landmarks the Domain of Istan has to offer. The first area that I'd like to show off is the Astralium. In Guild Wars 2, the huge observatory is located in the northwest of the Domain of Istan. The Astralium also functions as a library and the Sunspear base is located directly below it. The scholars that move around in this area are quite reluctant to accept Palawan Joko as their leader. You can see this in their dialogues as you walk around the area. Let's move on to the Guild Wars Nightfall version of the Astralium. As you can see, it changed quite a lot over the course of 250 years. Normally, if I visit places from Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, they are either destroyed or they have been made smaller. The Astralium is quite the opposite. This area expanded in Guild Wars 2, and I think the developers really did an amazing job on recreating this area. In Guild Wars Nightfall, this area was mostly used for side quests, but you would also pass through this outpost in your main quest. You can also find ancient marks on the walls here. I thought this was related to the Guild Wars Nightfall story with Kamadan and such, but apparently the markings are even before the story. Also, the sky in this area is really interesting to look at. Up next, Kamadan. Kamadan, not Palawan? Yes, Kamadan, you heard it right. But first, let's take a look at Palawan. You can find the city in the southeast of the Domain of Istan. The whole city has been taken over by Joko and the Mordent Cresent. Also, the big meta event of the mob takes place here. A great place to farm volatile magic and snatch some extra loot. The meta event is about the Sunspears raiding their old city for supplies. In order to do so, we have to kill some loyalist leaders and loot the chests. Anyway, as you can see, the whole city is themed after Joko. He's featured in a lot of statues and most of the buildings have something bone themed to it. I like what they've done with the place, but I'm also kind of sad to see my old city go. Let's have a look at how it looked. Alright, here we are. Kamadan. Kamadan is basically the capital of Guild Wars Nightfall. To this day, it remains a busy city. Back in the day, it was referred to as Kamadan. This was because in the original Guild Wars, you didn't have a trading post or an auction house. Everyone just went to Kamadan and spammed the items they wanted to sell or buy. Anyway, as you can see, all the statues are not based on Joko now. Unlike the Guild Wars 2 version, a lot of Sunspears can be found here. It's also called Jewel of Istan for a reason. Being the capital of Istan both politically and economically, the city has been given the name Jewel of Istan. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the Mordent Cresent Great Hall. The Great Hall can be found on the middle of the Domain of Istan. This landmark also has a meta event. After the Sunspears are done raiding Palawan, they move on to the Great Hall. The meta basically makes you clear the Great Hall of Mordent Cresent and has a boss at the end. The area around the hall and the hall itself look a lot bigger in Guild Wars 2. The Palawan and the Great Hall meta are both metas that I really enjoy doing, and I hope that ArenaNet will add more metas like this in the near future. Let's have a look at the Great Hall in Guild Wars Nightfall. Here we see the Guild Wars Nightfall version of the Great Hall. I'm standing on the plains of Churrhir just outside the outpost. You can really see the similarities between the two structures. Inside the Great Hall you can see stairs and the two doors you have in Guild Wars 2 right now. The Sunspear Great Hall were the headquarters of the Sunspears in Guild Wars Nightfall. According to the lore, the building itself is one of the oldest buildings on Istan. On your main quest, you ventured through here quite a lot. You can also find several interesting side quests here. Moving on to Champion's Dawn. Champion's Dawn is located on the southwestern side of the Domain of Istan. It's a town that had recently been liberated by the Sunspears during Balthazar's reign in the Crystal Desert. But right now it's a place of contention between the Sunspears and the Awakened. Many Sunspears and Istani people are captured here, and it is your job to free these people. You can also help these people by bringing them food and clear the area of the Mordent Cresent. There also seem to be a lot of loyalists walking around. They're basically humans, usually dervishes and paragons, that support Joko's cause. We will talk about dervishes and paragons later in this video. So, let's have a look at Champions Dawn in Guild Wars Nightfall. In Guild Wars Nightfall, Champions Dawn did look a bit different. It was just a tiny outpost. It was mainly used as a mining camp, and the main story will direct you through this outpost. It has some interesting side quests, but there's not really much to say about it. In Guild Wars 2 they completely expanded the place. It's really cool to see. Moving on to some more interesting areas. Starting off with the Churrhir Cliffs. The Churrhir Cliffs in Guild Wars 2 can be found in the southern part of Istan. It's a quite sandy, rocky area, and if you look around you can find some remnants of houses here. The enemies that roam the area are mostly Corsairs, Harpies and Tar Elementals. There's also a point of interest called Chahbek Trust. This is related to the first mission of Guild Wars Nightfall. We'll go through that right now. Chahbek Village is the first mission in Guild Wars Nightfall. In this mission you'll have to help Kos and Churrhir take back the village from the Corsairs. The mission is pretty straightforward. Eliminate the Corsairs and sink their ships. After you're done with the mission, you get teleported to the Churrhir fields. This was basically the training area for the Sunspears. The area itself looks really a bloom, while in Guild Wars 2 there is basically nothing left of it. In this area you could also learn more about your profession, and there were some training dummies where you could test your skill on. The last area, before we move on to the NPCs, is Fahranur, the first city. In Guild Wars 2 we visit this city during the living story. I'll let Zaim do the talking on this one.
There she is, across the water. Fahranur, the first city. This is as close as I've ever dared come.
Looks like it's seen better days.
That city is home to centuries of my people's history. Without it, Valona would be nothing. Fahranur was home to the seat of the primeval dynasty, the shining quintessence of Valonian life. But then came the ravage of the Scarab Plague, and the end of the primeval kings.
During this part in the living story we have to rescue Taimi from the Mordent Cresent, but as you can see there are some traps along the way. Anyway, when you venture on, Zaim tells you something more about the Scarab Plague. The Scarab Plague happened before Guild Wars Nightfall, so I can't show you that. But what I can do is show you guys Fahranur in Guild Wars Nightfall. Like in Guild Wars 2, Fahranur is a mission area. The city is part of the Jokonor Diggings mission, and you have to help Churrhir find out what happened to some workers. These workers have strange purple marks on their bodies. This has something to do with the return of Abaddon during the Guild Wars Nightfall story. Anyway, as you can see, they already had those bell traps back then. The general outline of the city feels a bit different in Guild Wars Nightfall. The area feels a lot smaller and there are more traps in it. The city in Guild Wars 2 feels more immersive, and I'm quite sure it's bigger too. Moving on to our next segment, the NPCs. We have some recurring and related characters in this installment of the living story. The first one and the most interesting one is probably Kos. Kos was a hero in Guild Wars Nightfall and he accompanied you from the start. A short note about heroes though. Heroes were basically NPCs you could take with you to explore the world, and you could take them on missions as well. You can see Kos in the first mission, Chahbek Village. I just talked about that. He is a Sunspear warrior and he's always in for a brawl. He later developed a relationship with another hero called Malani. In Guild Wars 2 we see him as an awakened. Joko brought him back from the dead to fight in his army. Kos doesn't feel much for that idea and is stubborn enough to not listen to Joko. He remains in the cave in the southern part of Istan. He can't really hear the call of Joko in that cave, so he remains there and lives his rest of his days there. Well, not really lives because he's an awakened, but he stays there for now. I'm curious to know if Kos will play a bigger part in the story. Next up is Saida the Sly. Saida the Sly is the captain of the Sly crew and of the ship the Dark Leviathan. She wasn't in the original Guild Wars Nightfall, but she is a descendant of Magritte the Sly. Magritte was a Corsair hero you could unlock by doing the Nightfall story. You had the choice between two heroes and one of them was Magritte the Sly. If you didn't choose Magritte in the first place, you can always choose her as a hero after the story. Our next NPC on the list is Sune Stormbringer. Sune Stormbringer is a bounty target you can find on different spots in the Domain of Istan. You can pick him up as a bounty target at a bounty board in the northeastern part of Istan. Anyway, a fun fact is that you can actually find Sune in Guild Wars Nightfall as well. Sune can actually be found at the same location in Guild Wars 2. You can find the boss near Kamadan with some other jacarandas. The last NPCs I want to talk about are Dervishes and Paragons. You can find quite a lot of these Dervishes and Paragons near Champion's Dawn in Guild Wars 2. You also notice that they don't use the same skills as other professions. You can also find these Dervishes and Paragons in the Order of the Sun Spears. But what are Dervishes and Paragons? Dervishes and Paragons were both playable professions in Guild Wars Nightfall. The Dervish was basically a holy warrior that could attune to the gods and used all kinds of skills related to that. The main weapon of a Dervish was a scythe. You can see some gameplay of my Dervish on the screen. Up next were the Paragons. Paragons were a tanky support profession. They used adrenaline, like the warrior and the dervish, to use their skills. Paragon used spears as their main weapon. They used their skills to support allies and to damage foes. It's kind of similar to the Guardian we know in Guild Wars 2, but it's not really the same. Spear Marshal Zaim is actually a Paragon. You can see some gameplay of my Paragon on the screen. To end this video off, I'd like to say that this was a really long and hard video to make for me. Have I covered all of Istan? Nope. There are still some areas, like the Lathenda Bog, the Isner Isles and Methani Keys that you can't access in Guild Wars 2. I don't want to dig too deep into these yet, because they might come in the near future. For now, I want to thank you all for watching. Subscribe to this channel for more Guild Wars 2 content and leave a like if you liked the video. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.